you know, you don't want to be going and doing every single individual stroke with your liner brush, right? So that's, if you think about your liner brush, the liner, I'm losing hair here. Sorry, it was bugging me. If you think about your liner brush, though, that's the only brush we don't put medium, right? We have to use water with the liner brush. And then, so these are like a million little liner brushes. So if you remember to put, like I might have even said, try it, you know, just so you can see what it's like. Maybe you'll like the effect in some of my videos. But definitely liner brush is only water. And these are like a million little liner brushes. So we definitely want to water down our colors. What color are we going to do these feathers? You know, we're definitely usually making them with a bit of white. And then we can, depending on what kind of feather you want to do. I have a free video on my site too, guys, for the sun catcher, where I played around with the feathers. That is on my YouTube. You guys can check out if you haven't been there yet. Alright, so when you go and I'm going to dampen my brush just with a little bit of water. Right, when you go and try and multi-load even these brushes with thick paint, right, you're not going to, even especially on paper, it's very draggy and dry. Right? And I have a Pussy Willow project too that you can jump on and play and get used to it too. So it's going to be very, very dry. So you definitely need to add water. Right, just the very tip of my brush just to get a little bit more water. Right, get this water down. Think about your curly cues, right, where you're, you know, being able to drag that brush. Like if you can't drag the brush like that, then it's not watery enough. If you put too much water, then you're going to end up making it very translucent. Right, very tickling, just barely tickling that paper. Right, then again, the same thing when we're layering our flowers. Maybe we want to come up a little lighter as we're moving it down. This is great for, like, if you were doing cats, dogs, you know, anything. You're just slowly working your way back, right, and trying to get all those little wispy liners, like looking like a liner, but you're doing it so much more quicker because you can do it with a bigger brush. Does that help a bit? Cecilia? That's the biggest thing I find is getting the water consistency right so that you get a nice flow. Right? So that's what I like about this little part here. You can put a few drops of water in then if you need it. Because it's easier to get it when you have a little cup. And when you go put it in here, you know, it's really hard just to get that little tiny bit of water. And you maybe put too much on your brush. And then you got to go and sop it out with some, on a towel, try to get rid of some of it. Right, so our feathers, definitely it's just about that C curve. Right, slowly working your way down to a point. You can play with different colors, whatever color you want. So it's like a mustache, right? So you got your mustache on both sides. And if I was just doing it with mostly white, right, then you can always come in with a little bit more blues or whatever color you want, browns, right, and then put your little vein back in again. Okay, so again, with that daisy stroke, you're pushing and you're popping up, right? I'm using a feather brush. So the same thing with your fan brush and feather brushes, you know, you can put pressure on it and then pop up on that chisel, right? So you're almost doing your, like a sideways comma stroke. And there's your little bit of a start to drag down and then push and then pull around is your dolphin. Wrong brush, but you know, it works. Right, so definitely getting comfortable with that popping up on your chisel, right? Trying to drag and slowly release the pressure so that you're slowly getting a little bit smaller and smaller. So a lot of people are still feeling a little bit jaggedy, and they're pushing up too soon. So they got lots of pressure, and then, you know, there's no mid area where you're slowly progressing. It's even hard for me to do it, right? So you're pushing hard, and then you kind of pull too soon, right? So it's just learning how to dance and be comfortable with your brush, right? And slowly picking up on your pressure. Dancing with your brush is what I call it. That helps, Cecilia?
Yes, I guess it's the water situation.
Most of the time.
Yeah, because if you don't do that, and then all of a sudden you get a solid color.
And learning how to just tickle the page with just the edges of that brush too, right? So just pressure. And then what happened, I don't know if you noticed in my brush, I was getting really, really gloppy, right? Because I was pushing to get the pressure to get it all loaded. And then because I'm only using the very tip of my brush all the time to do these strokes, right, it gets gloppy right in here because you're not using it. So that's why every once in a while it's good to kind of brush that into the plate, flatten it out, get rid of all that gloppiness, so that way you're pulling the moisture. You always have nice fresh paint on the tip, because look how much little I'm using, just the very edge of that tip, right? But meanwhile we're loading the whole brush, right? But that helps to bring down the moisture and help the brush move, right? So if you're only loading the tip of the brush, doesn't matter what you're doing with it, if you're only loading the tip of the brush, the part that's lower to the ferrule, it's dry, or it's just not got enough, there's a soft conditioner kind of thing, feel of the paint, or with a little bit of medium. Right? So the paint acts like a bit of a conditioner, and the bristles will move a lot more easier, even though we're just using the very tip of our brush. Does that kind of make sense? And it tends to get gloppy, and you feel like you need more paint, but then you're getting overloaded with your brush. So just wipe it out, start over, and make sure that you're keeping a control over your paintbrush. Right? As soon as you see it happening where it's getting too gloopy, either work it in here or wipe it out on the towel.